Don in London. Hello, March 16th, 2010. My video is all about recovery from addiction to either substance and behaviour. So my addictive substance over those 35 years of indulging alcohol, my behaviour equally addictive to work, relationships, you name it, materialism, anything to fix that feeling inside. Wanting something to fix me. And it took me a long time to realise that this wanting to be fixed developed over a period of years. I didn't know life very well. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I needed to do to be me. So it's been a journey of discovery about how not to be me, fixing, and how to be me, not fixing, just living as life offers and encountering what's going on. And being a part of, being included, and having choices, and understanding that love comes to me and love goes from me, and to be useful. So inclusion, choices, love, and living in one day, just living one day at a time. So how on earth did I get from being addicted into recovery? I will always be an alcoholic, but I can be a recovering alcoholic on a daily basis, and then the days sort of join up. And somebody asked me yesterday, how do we let go of all the old behaviour? And I have to say, we hang on like grim death, because we hang on to what worked for us, and fixing worked for a long time. So from conviviality and joyfulness from whatever fixed us, through to dependency, and then addiction. And I don't know where the line is crossed, but for me, I know that first drink did do the damage. The first drink I ever took, which made me feel more relaxed and able to open a different sort of world. That was the one without fear. But as we become dependent, fear grows again, because we're always looking to be fixed. And then before we know it, and I don't know when those crossover times happen, it's different for different people, addiction comes in. And we're fixing and nothing works. So we go from self-will in the temperate way to obsession, and then self-will run riot, where we have no choices left. We just become a machine fixing ourselves, and we're enslaved by our own addiction. So for me these days, I prefer not to be enslaved and just learn a path of sobriety. So what helps me most? Well, family, friends, community, and above all the fellowship which understands how to be sober for one day. And that fellowship is AA, Alcoholics Anonymous. And I mention it all the time. At the same time, I'm not a spokesperson for it, never can be, never want to be. I just speak for me and my recovery and what is working for me. And to exclude the fellowship of AA from that would be foolish, because it would then be back to me and my ego. So, fellowship helps me. I share here about the fellowship, the statement it has about its intent, and also some of the literature and how it impacts on my life. And March is all about the third step of the 12-step program of AA. 12 steps of action. And I emphasise action. We can read about the steps, we can understand them in our thinking capacity, but we actually have to live them to make them work, so we do change our attitude and behaviour. So the key word always is action, to change attitude and behaviour to what we experience, to the good of living, rather than to some sort of self-will run riot. And step 3 of the AA program, I'll cover that in just a moment, but I will share the statement of intent because it slows me down into the moment of now and makes me realise what has saved my life, and that is it is the wisdom of other people. So, Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution. Does not wish to engage in any controversy. neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. And if you have a need or a desire to stop drinking, and you walk through the doors of AA, there is only one purpose there, to be sober. But you will encounter people who have absolutely nothing other than that in common with you. So we all go in with our own preconceived ideas, our own beliefs and our own faith, and our own understanding of how to make life work. So the gift is we learn the wisdom of what works for other people, and if it's appropriate to us. And if we're lucky, we get a day sober, and then we become part of something. We become included in a fellowship, which is so diverse. If you find one other person with exactly the same story as yourself, you find yourself very surprised. Diversity is key. So one similarity, a desire to stop drinking and share the message. So that's what I do here. And yes, just for me, I speak for myself. But, and the big but is, without AA, where would I be? Certainly not here. Daily Reflections, this book, helps me enormously because it covers each of the 12 steps of action, one a month. And this one, March, is step 3, and I'll share exactly what it says on this little card here, where we've got 12 steps and 12 traditions on one part, the AA statement of intent on the back. And step 3 reads exactly, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. And for me, the idea of God in my life, for at least those 35 years of taking a drink, was unimaginable, because I had no concept of a power greater than me, because that's what I was taught. Self-will, put on a brave face and get on with it, and what you do is what you get, rather than what comes around. What we do comes back to us. So depending on how we are, if we're self-obsessed, we see nothing but ourselves. If self-will is running riot, we can see only our own point of view. So these days I understand a different point of view, many, and an understanding that there is a power greater than me. It's called the universe. So my understanding of God, it sort of falls in with what it suggests in this book from March 16th, as we understand him. My friend suggested that we seemed what then seemed a novel idea. Why don't you choose your own conception of God? That statement hit me hard. It melted the icy intellectual mountain in whose shadow I'd lived and shivered for many years. I stood in the sunlight at last. It was only a matter of being willing to believe in a power greater than myself. Nothing more was required of me to make my beginning. So for me, I've learned that God is truth, what I learn every day. God works through people, wisdom shared, and God is love, to love and be loved and useful. He goes on to say, I remember the times I looked up into the sky and reflected on who started it all, and how. When I came to AA, an understanding of some description of the spiritual dimension became a necessary adjunct to a stable sobriety. In other words, something bigger than me, wisdom. After reading a variety of versions, including the scientific of a great explosion, I went for simplicity and made the God of my understanding the greater power that made the explosion possible, with the vastness of the universe under his command. He would no doubt be able to guide my thinking and actions if I was prepared to accept his guidance, wherever it came from. That's me saying that. But I could not help if I turned my back on that help and went my own way. I became willing to believe, and I have had 26 years of stable, satisfying sobriety. Well, I'm nowhere near that. I just go on one day, and a few days joined together. So the gift for me is a God of our understanding is our own personal understanding, so that when we utilize the tools of this 12-step program of action to change attitude and behavior, it works. So when I say at the end of these videos, to God, all good conscience, the serenity prayer, which goes as, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference is, for me, just for today.